Sleeping Beauty Waltz by Tchaikovsky. Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Friday night is music night. From me, Wayne Sleep, and all of us here, good night.
This is Radio 2 on the BBC Sounds app, on your smart speaker, and on 88 to 91 FM.
With the BBC News at 10 o'clock, this is Jason Kay. Police in Los Angeles are examining two vehicles as they search for a gunman who killed at least 10 people in a dance club last night during Lunar New Year celebrations. There was a standoff for a time, with police saying a white van they surrounded in the city could be linked to the shooting. The suspect has been described as an Asian man. Officials say his motive isn't clear. At a speech in Florida, the Vice President Kamala Harris condemned the shooting.
A time of a cultural celebration, and yet another community has been torn apart by senseless gun violence. All of us in this room and in our country understand this violence must stop.
Here, the Health Secretary Steve Barclay says he's had a constructive talks with union bosses about the upcoming strikes. Thousands of ambulance workers in England and Wales at the Unison, Unite and GMB unions are to walk out tomorrow in their dispute about pay. The General Secretary of the Unite union has accused the government of not talking about pay in negotiations. 2 people have died after a crash involving several vehicles on the M40 in Buckinghamshire. The accident happened between Stokenchurch and High Wycombe shortly after 8 o'clock this morning. A woman in her 60s and a man in his 70s were pronounced dead at the scene. 12 others were injured. The chairman of Tesco has suggested that some food producers could be using soaring rates of inflation as an excuse to raise prices more than necessary. John Allen said it was entirely possible that firms were taking advantage of the current high cost of living, and said Tesco sometimes intervened.
There have been very robust discussions between Tesco and a number of suppliers. We didn't have Heinz soup and Heinz tomato ketchup for a spell last summer when they tried to put through a large price increase at that stage. That was eventually settled. We've fallen out with other suppliers. So we do try very hard, I think, to challenge cost increases.
The fantasy sequel Avatar: The Way of Water has become only the 6th film in history to take more than $2 billion in box office receipts around the world. When the movie was released last month, its director James Cameron said it needed to reach that milestone just to break even. The original Avatar film remains the highest-grossing movie of all time. Football and Arsenal have retained control of the Premier League title race after a 3-2 win against Manchester United. They remain 5 points clear of Man City, who beat Wolves 3-0. The City manager Pep Guardiola says he's concentrating on only his own side's performance as the two teams contend for the top.
It's not about Arsenal. So we have to improve many things of our team and to make the first step. We'll see what happens in the future. But in general, I'm so satisfied because I know the quality of this team and how difficult it is.
And the weather, cloudy in the north and west tonight with patchy rain in places, largely clear to the southeast. That's the BBC News at 3 minutes past 10.
BBC Radio 2 Unwinds with Angela Griffin.
Hello again, this is Radio 2 Unwinds with me, Angela Griffin. Oh, it's half chilly out there, isn't it? Is it chilly where you are? I know some of you are listening in far-flung, probably warm places, but the cold snap has returned here in the UK, and I really hope that you're staying safe and snug wherever you are. Now, I have got a playlist to keep you nice and toasty. Oh yes, I have. So why don't you just layer up in your biggest, cosiest jumper, fluffy dressing gown, and grab those blankets. I have warming sounds to come from Danelle Jones, 07, and one of the greatest voices of her generation, as you've never heard her before. Interested? Well, stay tuned to find out who that could be. First up though, here's Jose Gonzalez with Heartbeats.
One night to be confused, one night to speed up truth. We had a promise made, 4 hands and then away. Both under influence, we had divine sin. touch, one night to push and scream, and then relief, 10 days of perfect tunes, the colors red and blue, we had a promise made, we were in love, to call for hands of above, to lean on, wouldn't be good enough for me, love, to call for hands of